Hello world. So, like a lot of Americans, I responded with a lot of intense sadness, fear, and anger to the shootings in Orlando. Many of those feelings are magnified when I think of the multi-layered context surrounding the shooting. There's the history of anti-gay violence in my society. There's the pattern of mass shootings, which has become more and more familiar. The FBI says that they're focused on a more traditional narrative about the shooter, Omar Mateen, rather than one focused on foreign terrorism. So I guess that means we have a tradition. And there's the political process by which Americans deal with issues that affect them as a society. Among the many things that are going on here, there's a breakdown in that process, which is supposed to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. This is an issue on which, no matter what you feel about gun policy, there's gotten to be a mismatch between what the population thinks will do all that and what the government does. As an example, poll after poll shows that between 89 and 93% of Americans want there to be background checks for all gun purchasers, but this is something that has been proposed for the last 20 years and never been enacted. This in turn is an example of a broader pattern in which the influence of the people at large over their government, particularly their legislature, has been reduced, while the influence of moneyed groups within the population has increased. So why is this happening? What I see is that in America we have two official established currencies. One, the dollar, is the means of affecting one's personal circumstances. We use it to feed, shelter, and clothe ourselves, and whatever else we want to do. The other, the vote, is the means of affecting our collective circumstances. In theory, one is available to be earned, and the other is available as a right. Now, why are there two of these things? Well, I think it comes down to our twofold understanding of who we are. On the one hand, we believe that each of us has equal worth, and we should each be given the same opportunity to affect the world that anyone else has. The Declaration of Independence says all men are created equal, and we see this in a lot of religious scriptures as well. Even the Judeo-Christian tradition, whose creator God was presumably the one that was referenced in the Declaration, we see a lot of messages from that tradition about how we're all equal in the eyes of God. On the other hand, we have the idea that each of us rises and falls on our own merits. In that same religious tradition, we have the idea of eternal reward or eternal punishment for how good or bad we've been. In our national consciousness, there's the American dream, in which anybody is supposed to be able to make it big, meaning bigger than others, meaning not everybody makes it big. There's this idea of rugged individualism, which is as important to the national identity as the idea that we're all created equal, even though in many ways those ideas contradict. Now, in the past, we resolved this contradiction with more contradiction. We said, oh, those people that are equal, those are really just the white people. White men, actually, and really only just the property owners. And wouldn't you know, those are the only people with the money anyway, so it kind of worked out. Nowadays, we're a little less comfortable with that kind of thinking, so we've ended up with this precarious balance of capitalism for making it on your own and representative democracy for being part of a group. How precarious is it? Well, capitalism and representative democracy have bled into each other to the point where many people now recognize our capitalism is really corporatism and our representative democracy is really oligarchy. And this is because the way we've gone about reconciling the two at this point is to say that money equals speech. And since speech is a big part of democracy, then money gets to be a big part of democracy too. The official interpretation is that a restriction on the amount of money a person or group can spend on political communication during a campaign necessarily reduces the quantity of expression. And it's true. Telling people that they can't spend their money to affect change on the political level is unfair. But there's another truth that arises from the duality of equality of worth and worth according to merit that we haven't officially recognized, and it's this. It's also unfair to tell people that they can't use their other currency to affect change on the personal level. What that means is if we say money entitles people to political influence, we have to acknowledge that franchise, the ability to vote, entitles people to economic influence. So what's to be done? We have a couple of choices. we could reverse the ability to spend money for political influence, so things like K Street and super PACs wither and die. Or we could grant people economic power based on their citizenship, through things like basic income, so that more people have the ability to spend money to influence political decision-making. What we can't do is to continue the way we are and expect the existing system to produce anything but a continued mismatch between popular will and collective action, even in the face of repeated atrocities like Orlando. That's it for now. I appreciate your comments below, most of them, and I welcome you to come over to decodings-book.com, join the conversation on Facebook and Twitter. Thanks again. Bye-bye.